Hello, and welcome to the Inside EVs podcast for May the 20th, 2022. This is episode number 111. On today's show, we'll be talking about the 2023 Genesis GV60 reaching Job 1. The Texas Gigafactory Model Y is now available to order. And the 2024 Honda Prologue SUV is teased in its first sketch. I'm Dominic Yoni, Inside EV's forum moderator and Inside EV's editor. Joining us today is the mind-blowing Mr. Martin Lee from the EV News Daily podcast, which is available on all the best podcast platforms. Clint Simone joins us. He's the video director. You can correct me out.
You can make it up. Say whatever you want.
For Motor One and Inside EVs. And of course, Kyle O'Connor joins us from the majestic, practically palatial halls of Out of Spec Studios, where they are producing car-sploitation flicks for a growing number of YouTube channels. Actually, you're at your home there. I see a picture of a dog on the wall behind you.
Woke up a bit too late to run into the office.
That's all right. Okay, so before we get going, I'd like to ask that you please subscribe to the channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button and ring that bell icon for notifications. If you're watching us on Twitch, you can also ring that bell icon for notifications. All right, so with that out of the way, welcome everybody. So today's show, I believe, is sponsored by Holley once again, who are putting on the Holley High Voltage Experience. That's an event where, I don't know, can you tell us about the event, Martin?
I can do. I didn't open my script before we did this because my computer wasn't working.
Yeah.
So
Martin has had himself a day so far.
Yeah, it's been a morning. So, by the way, Tom isn't with us this morning. He is in Italy. He is driving a what is that? It's
Skoda Enyaq.
Right, Skoda Enyaq. Right, in 200 miles. So yeah, I believe he said from Rome to the villa. So I think he's got some swank digs over there for his vacation.
Can we just leave that on screen the entire time? It makes me feel better.
He's looking every bit the rock star in that photo.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, Tom Malogny. You know, it's funny because I don't believe he's Italian, right? He's Irish, maybe Malogny.
Yes, correct.
Right, but for some reason, he had a piece of business for quite a long time, a restaurant business. So I always think at least he's part Italian or something. But anyway,
Well, he's enjoying some Italy right now.
Good for him.
So, Martin, can you tell us about the Holley High Voltage Experience?
Well, I can because it's open in the next tab, as you can see. So I'll just tell you what's happening. There's 49 days to go, 19 hours and 19 minutes, I think, just from the top of my head. I don't know where I got that from. But there we go. Look, there's all the details. We went to this last year. Kyle went to this last year. If you want to come to it this year, then all the tickets are online at hollyhighvoltage.com. A brilliant experience, whether you have been into EVs like, 15 years like Tom, or this is your first podcast you're listening to or watching. It doesn't matter. Or whether you're just EV curious, right? Where you think, I'm going to go EV one day. This is a great way to go and find out about electric vehicles, meet a bunch of people who will be more than happy to chew your ear off about how brilliant electric cars are. And there's a ton of stuff going on as well. So if you want to go along to this, check out hollyhighvoltage.com. Grab your tickets and we will see you there. The countdown is most certainly on. There's going to be some weird and wonderful stuff as well. And I'm sure some weird and wonderful people, no doubt.
And that's at the Sonoma Raceway. So there is like racing involved. I believe they have like a drag race and a couple different kind of courses for you to try out. All right. So Kyle, I understand that you were back in your old stomping grounds last week driving a Porsche Taycan, a base Porsche Taycan on your track, as well as other places. So you put up a video a few days ago introducing us to this Taycan in Dolomite Silver. So basically the car is about half the price of the high-end Turbo S Taycan. And I believe you're going to do some range and charging tests with it, but the range test you have to do you have to put it back on 19-inch wheels because the owner had it on 20s. So I guess you use this opportunity to destroy the tires that were on it, ripping around the track there. And so you've driven the all-wheel drive Taycan on the track. So let us tell us how you like this, and you can talk about the Ranger charging test if you want. I don't believe those videos are up yet. Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about him though. So yeah, was with my good friend Ben. We delayed our trip one day to play around. He's got a whole bunch of cool cars, and one of the things we decided to do was to do a range test with his standard battery Taycan. Now I've driven every Taycan variant except the small battery because globally Porsche doesn't put them in their media fleet, so we needed to rely on an owner to have the standard. I think it's a 79 kilowatt hour battery pack, gross, something like that. And so Ben owns one and was like, let's do it all. I got the Aero wheels, the 19s, in the garage. And so great. I was like, all right, well, let me buy you a set of fresh tires. Let's go slide it around, see if you can have fun in the rear wheel drive. Lasted about 1.5 miles of giggles, and we destroyed the tires, of course. And so went all the way till they exploded. It was wonderful. And, really had a good blast. No one cared. That's the sad part. No one watched that video. Absolutely
really?
tanked because there's such a small crossover of performance and electric. And, I sit in that crossover, but 99% of our audience is like, what's the efficiency of the car? Not look at it doing big skids. So kind of sad personally. I went into it expecting it. I even said in the intro, no one's going to care about this. I mean, we know, but that kind of hurts my heart a bit. But we had a blast. The car did really well. I've driven, some of the big, baddest Taycans on track, some major tracks, this track in North Carolina, driven lots of Taycan experience, really enjoyed the lighter weight of the smaller battery pack, totally noticeable. Just removing the front motor, similar thing I mentioned when I drove the rear wheel drive, you just get so much better turn in. The whole front end's lightened up. It's really neat. And, so really enjoyed the car. Thought it performed well in a performance setting. Certainly you can slide it around all day long without issue, as you should be able to do in a performance car. Although, that's not the fastest way around the track. It's probably the slowest way around the track, but it is the most fun. And so then mounted the stock wheels back on it, went out and did the range test. Obviously the car was all warmed up at this point, and it did okay. The conditions were horrible. I was only there for one day, of course, and so we had to do it on that day, and we had major winds, crazy winds actually, and from the side, which you can't even counteract in a loop style. Right. And actually still outperformed EPA even in the worst of scenarios, as typical for Taycan is. Really enjoyed the car. The charging was very interesting because it's the standard pack, not the big pack that we're used to. So we shot a full charging curve that'll go up eventually. And my impression is you don't need the big battery on this car. If you want a Taycan, just go base and it's fine.
Wow. So how much can they save just doing that?
Well, it depends, because you can still option a base car well deep into the $100,000 range, right? Because you want headlights and windshield wipers and seatbelt buckles. It's a Porsche; they're going to nickel and dime you for everything. And so, this car was under $100,000 and it had like 4 options. But it's like he had some big options on it: glass roof, 18-way seats, a few other things. You really got to spend time on the configurator. And if the Porsche configurator didn't already take you 9 days of your life away, you can now option paint to sample colors inside of the configurator, which will ruin your week.
Because what's that? What's paint to sample colors?
What? Say that again, Martin.
What is it? What's that feature?
Really?
Yeah, do you not know paint to sample is like Porsche's individual color program, where you can pretty much go from a list of hundreds of colors built in, or send them like, I don't know, this dog toy. I can mail this to Porsche and say, make it that orange.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like that little sample tool in Photoshop, just
I love it.
Color.
Wow.
Make it this way.
So you lose a week of your life in the configurator.
Oh, yes, because then when you choose a different color, then you're like, oh, well, the wheels in the interior don't match and my deviated stitching's off, and you got to go back and redo it all.
So you also lose thousands of your dollars in the process if you decide to do PTS on your car.
So small battery is fine with it. But so what about the all-wheel drive part, rear-wheel drive?
It's pretty slow. It's not fast.
Okay.
In comparative standards, but like gets a move on. The weird thing with Taycan and e-tron GT is they only give you full power in launch control, and they say it's to protect the inverters and everything, and the car is more than adequately powered when you use launch control. It rips when you do that, but if you just mat the throttle normally, even in sport mode, it's like, all right, I kind of want a little bit more out of it.
It's like a Spark EV.
It's probably faster than that still.
Okay. I mean,
but that's a fun.
It ought to be. It ought to be faster than Spark EV.
Bars on the floor there. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you driven a Spark EV, Clint?
I have not. I'm sorry. I don't mean to speak out of turn.
You got to come to Tallahassee. We'll have some fun. It's a fun little car.
It'll rip a massive burnout.
Yeah. Okay, so you also had a chance to drive the Ford F-150 off-road last week, and we talked about driving the Ford F-150 Lightning on the last episode, but we didn't really discuss its off-road capabilities. I think you have a video up on out of spec overlanding, and we have a post on Inside EVs with your video as well.
Oh, cool.
So the Lightning obviously isn't like off-road capable like Rivian or even maybe the Hummer EV, but it's not at all useless off-road, right? So maybe tell us your impressions of that.
Yeah, so this was an off-road course Ford had set up around this awesome ranch winery situation. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful where we were. And it was very much a soft roading course. It was not anything nearly as difficult as we regularly, traverse here in the mountains. And so I thought, okay, this will be fun. Like, let's just go drive around their dirt path. They actually went to the maximum capabilities of the truck, in my opinion, because there were many situations where we were pretty much right on the brush guards underneath and, no wheels in the air, but close to it. So we were at full articulation. I guess a couple times we lifted some wheels, but the truck's not meant for that. The truck's really meant to just get you to the job site. But I thought that this had one unique feature that no other electric truck has at the moment, which would be a locking rear differential. So the Hummer EV is the only other electric truck with a locking differential, and that locks the front axle, which is fine. The Ford chose the rear motor as the primary axle here, and they have I believe it's an Eaton locker. It's an electrically actuated mechanical locking situation in the rear, similar to, other locking differentials that you would push a button for. You have a little switch in the screen, boom, locks the wheel speed mechanically of the rear two wheels. And it is just so great, and can't wait to get the F-150 Lightning here as soon as possible, because we're going to put it up against the Rivian and really show the difference between a virtual locking situation and a mechanical locking situation. Right. And I think Rivian can work a little bit on this targeted wheel speed situation to get the power to the right wheels in a more natural way for a driver that's not necessarily driving the car to fool the systems into getting the power down. This is nice. You just roll into the throttle and you just start moving. You don't have to wait for computers to figure things out. You're just good to go. And it is so much better for sort of split mute surfaces, which would mean you have grip on one side, not grip on the other, and it just pushes the car along. It's great.
Nice. My mind blanked out. I had a question for you. Anybody else? The question? Oh, so it does lock on the front, but it's not a mechanical locker on the front, right? It's just,
it simulates with braking, similar to other situations would, a traditional, open differential. You would grab brakes to the wheel that's in theory with less traction to then force power laterally over to the wheel that does, that needs the most amount of torque to get it up and over an obstacle.
Nice.
Wonder what the likelihood is that they're going to go for some sort of Lightning Raptor situation. I mean, we know that Silverado EV is going to have a trail boss, I believe. And I wonder what the crossover is going to be here if people do want to take a truck like this and actually off-road it. I mean, it's interesting hearing you talk about the locking diffs, but, Ford has in their arsenal quite a lot of off-road tech that could potentially make its way to Lightning. I've never really thought about that much.
Oh yeah, I've been dreaming of that since I heard about the Lightning, because that's the perfect application to just stuff in a Raptor suspension situation. Sure.
And, probably be close to 10,000 pounds, huh?
Maybe, but it'd be awesome. It would be super great. And at the end of the day, there's going to be people modifying these to do that, which will be cool. Goodbye to your range, but hello to fun.
Right. Yeah, because a Raptor in its smallest instance is on 33s, I believe, to start, or
I think
maybe it's
35s,
even 35s.
and then you can option the 37s.
37s, yeah. So 37s on an EV would be great, basically rolling around as a monster truck.
Yes, it would be amazing. Well, similar to like Hummer EV lifestyle, I can't think about what is that on 34s. It's on some meaty tires.
Yeah, it's got 35s, I believe.
35s,
but it also has a 200 kilowatt hour battery to kind of make up for the that.
the F-150, in my impression, not that I ran them back to back on the same day, but is just wildly more efficient than the Hummer EV.
Yeah, I mean that's a low bar.
Yeah.
Is it as much fun though? Because I legitimately had a great time driving the Hummer EV. Like it made me smile.
The F-150 is a far better truck for better. I mean, it's just the right truck at the right time.
Right, for day-to-day doing stuff.
And you can still have fun in an F-150, but that's not really the goal. They're meant to work. They're meant to be daily driven. There's tons of different specs, and we've spoken about it, but I was just thrilled with this truck from base trim to max. Personally, I would go standard battery base trim sort of work truck, and then have a Rivian as a daily driver. I just put up a video about that this week. I think that's a great 2-truck solution, if you will. And love the F-150.
Right on. All right. So, Clint, speaking of electric pickup trucks, I understand that you had a Rivian R1T dropped off at your place. I know you have it up.
Can't see it behind me, but it's over my shoulder right now.
Okay.
It's a little foggy this morning in LA, but
I think
that Rivian blue still looks fantastic.
Okay.
Oh, blue. What wheels do you have on it? Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
So is it your favorite? Is it your favorite truck yet?
Like across the board, no. But I do think that it's a really cool first, like soiree into this world. We have so much content coming up on the Inside EVs channel on the Rivian truck. Our good friend Italian Tom has done a range test. I have seen said range test. We have it coming out on May 29th. And then I have the truck as well for a full review that we're doing in California. So separate occasions, separate videos, but lots of great stuff coming up with the Rivian. This truck, I believe last night actually got the most recent OTA update too. So that'll have some new features. I was talking a bunch with the Rivian reps yesterday about some of the things that they have in the pipeline. And it's always just neat to review a vehicle that's a ground up something new. We don't get that chance all that often. Of course there's Lucid, of course there's this, but it's just interesting to get in the interior of a car and have it be a completely foreign infotainment, completely foreign, fill in the blank. But in that regard, it's really, really cool to drive. Feels a little big for LA sometimes. It's the driving position is much taller than I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a million different reviews on this truck. I've read a million different things about it, but I wanted to try to get in, and form my own opinions before I start writing our own review.
Did it feel like a Tacoma from behind the wheel?
No, it feels bigger than a Tacoma. I mean, really? Kyle can fact check me as I go along here, but it really does feel bigger than a Tacoma. So far, I'm also surprised with the amount of noise that each of the motors makes. It's not really a quiet vehicle at all. I mean, quad motor. There's
so cool.
Yeah, no, it sounds great, but it is interesting. Even low speed. And it's not just the DOT noise below 25 miles per hour. Like even on the highway accelerating, it's pretty loud.
Yeah, and in comparison, Clint, did you drive the Lightning? Did you do that one?
I did not do the Lightning. No.
I was gonna say, in comparison, the F-150 is dead silent. No inverter whine, no noise. The Rivian's like cranked up to 12 every time you get on. It's really cool.
Yeah, the more I consider the two of them, I really do think they are eyeballing two very different crowds. I do wonder, and I want all of your takes on this. Do we think that Rivian is going to go the direction of the Lightning and offer a more approachable, smaller battery pack, more work spec type truck? Are they going to keep things premium, keep things in the higher price range, honestly?
I think with this vehicle, they'll stay with that, but they have future product coming that might will be more affordable and have like probably smaller battery packs, maybe a smaller truck. I don't know.
I don't think you need a smaller truck. I think they can go up market from here and still sell every single one they can make. For the money, it feels so premium in there. The seats are wonderful. The build quality was great. The sound system is stellar. Really enjoyed it. I don't think they need to go after the cheap base market.
Yeah, I just wonder how big the overall market is for, in this case, a $95,000 truck pre-incentives. It's a lot of money.
4 years worth of waiting.
I mean, they've got the new factory is going to make that the new stuff. The one in Georgia that they're just starting to put together now. And that's for the R2 series they call it. So they have something planned out. They just haven't told us what it is yet.
Yeah, R2, but they have like a lot 900 volt architecture, some forward thinking stuff.
The first phase of the factory is like 200,000 units output. So I don't know if you can sell 200,000 like super high end vehicles like that. So I think, they got 150,000 capacity in Normal, Illinois. So, and just the first phase of this is like 200,000. Then they're going to be future phases as well, but just like, right.
Yeah. I'm rooting for them. I really am. I hope they can scale up. I hope they can keep building great things, because for a first vehicle to market, this is a phenomenal truck. And it's cool. I mean, LA, where I live, you have to try hard to get people to look at you driving something. It happens every now and then as I'm reviewing vehicles, but this one is just a magnet for people, and that's always cool too.
Right. It's got that light signature that you can't really miss, right? It's like just a completely different thing on the road. It's like, what is so you got the OTA after, so you tried to charge it. Did you get the OTA after or before you tried to charge it?
No, I started as I was plugged in at the Electrify America station. It was telling me, hey, it's time for an OTA. And I didn't have 75 minutes in me to try to mess with that at the moment.
Okay.
But
right.
I believe it did it last night. I haven't gone outside and checked yet because it's just now 7 a.m. here.
So that OTA would have given you 500 amp charging basically.
That's right. Yeah.
So like last night when you're at the Electrify America, you could only get, was it how many, 140?
It maxed out around 148 kilowatts, but Kyle, the range master, is saying that that's an issue with the Electrify America machine, not the truck. The truck is capable of doing it. But it is interesting, is like we are trying to convey to as many people as possible that, hey, charging is okay. It's not complicated. It will work out. It'll be okay if you buy an EV. But I go to an Electrify America station with no other cars around me last night, plug the truck in at very low range into a 350 machine, and it maxes out at 146. Right. Why?
Well, so there could be a couple reasons. The first could be that the charger's limited to 350 amps, which would actually add up to the numbers you were getting based on protected pack voltage. Those are actually the Signet units, though, which most of them have had the newer update to allow 500 amps, but not all. So that's still plausible and likely theory number one. Number two is the truck could be too cold. Number three, the truck could be too hot. Charging isn't simple or easy and not seamless. And I don't think, I wouldn't just send my mom out right now and be like, yeah, go and get the max charging rate. She could charge, but
it's kind of a shame, that's the case. Because I mean, it was a 60-degree evening Fahrenheit. Sorry, Martin. And, like normal highway driving, I wasn't mobbing the thing. It was a very normal driving scenario that should have kept the batteries at a very normal temperature.
Yeah.
You weren't mobbing, cold, though. Mobbing the thing? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Hooligan talk, Dom. You know what I'm talking about.
I haven't heard that one yet. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I live in this little room here. I don't get out.
There will be hooligan driving-ish in our review as well, because this thing does have a full sport mode. Wrong tires for it, but I mean, I won't spoil it all, but you get a truck that's 7,000 pounds and you wonder how it can work with physics that way.
Yeah, even on those tires, it's impressive. Yeah. So yeah, I would say 140 kilowatts sounds about right. I would say it's one of those three things. It's too cold, too hot, not the right charger output.
All right. So Inside EVs has a video going live at 12 today at noon that I believe, Clint, you put together, and it's a comparison of two electric crossovers available now, if you can find them. The Volkswagen ID4 and the Hyundai, Ioniq 5. I'm trying to learn how to say Hyundai properly. I was told that I say it all wrong, and I do say it all wrong. It's Hyundai. I don't know.
Yeah, we have is the whole reason why I woke up so early to see you beautiful people this morning is we have debuting in just 2 hours from now. You can go over same channel you're watching or this podcast on right now, the Inside EV's YouTube channel. We have a comparison test going up between the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Volkswagen ID4, both all-wheel drive, very comparable in terms of MSRP, equipment. We lined them up and we did a full in-depth comparison about, why you would want one over the other. We broke it down category by category, talked about charging, talked about interior, available technology, driving experience. We really threw the book at this thing. So we're excited and we hope the audience receives it well. And as always, you can watch the video, leave us any sort of comment. You can reach out to us here in the podcast. We'd love to answer any of your questions about those two cars or why we chose the winner that we did.
Mm-hmm. So right off, I feel like this is like an almost mismatch because like the Ioniq 5 is just like so good. Like the ID4 isn't like a dog exactly, and it is cheaper. But I don't know how did you match them up? Like, are they both all-wheel drive?
Yep. We got the
similar in price.
Yes. Yeah. I believe the Hyundai in the end was $6,000 more expensive. You got a little bit more equipment for that money. The ID4 undercuts it at the base price level. And once we had both cars fully loaded, the only caveat, and this is just based on fleet availability, the test cars that were given to us, the Volkswagen was a 2021 model year. Weirdly, they didn't have a 22 available. And this is just a few weeks ago that we shot this. So it is a 21 ID4 versus a 22 Ioniq 5, but we're clear about that, and there's not much difference, at least so far. Did we
shouldn't make any difference in terms of the ID4 spec? I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah,
the software.
And that's what Volkswagen assured us as well.
Yeah, like the software versions are what are most people on? They should be going to 2.3 at your dealer, I believe.
I want 3.1 already. Come on, that is like the biggest, baddest update of the year.
And that's the thing. So that's the thing that actually it's really interesting to watch these comparison videos because it's fluid. So, we'll make our conclusions and you'll watch the video later today. But then as Kyle says, in a matter of months, version 3 comes out, or version 2.3, which allows over-the-air updates. Then once your car's gone back to the dealer, I just heard it requires a small hardware change as well. I didn't think it did, but that's what one YouTuber said. Who knows? A German YouTube channel that I watch. Anyway, goes back to your dealer, gets 2.3, then it can take OTAs, then you get 3 and 3.1. But then the ID4 is going to do things like vehicle to not vehicle to load, but vehicle to home. If you get the VW wall box, so then these comparisons become fluid because we've got to redo that in a few months' time to go. Actually, like the Ford F-150 Lightning, if you want a car to power your home, and we were looking at the screenshots, weren't we? And there's actually a limit on how many hours of energy or kilowatt hours you can pull out of the car. I forget what it was.
I think it was 4 megawatt hours.
It was a big number, like more than you'd own the vehicle for. But either way, it's interesting. There was a limit deep in the menus, but. Yeah, and so these cars are constantly changing, and it depends. And I think I've only heard them talk about it with the ID4, not our friend there, the ENIAC or
Italian Tom is back.
It's always a good excuse to bring that picture back, but they haven't talked about it in terms of the Skoda or any of the others, like the Audi Q4 e-tron. So I think just the ID4. But either way, yeah. So it's so interesting that these things are. We make these videos, you make these videos, and they're a point in time. And it's so cool to be talking about these things because it's all going to change soon.
Yeah, so that's a very, very fair point. But there are some things about a vehicle you cannot change with an over-the-air update.
True. Hey, so I missed part of it. So the ID4 has the OTAs available, and they're doing that in Europe now. But do we have them here in North America?
No.
Okay, so
no.
Right, because this came up, I think, a couple of weeks ago, Kyle, with you and I or something, and I was thinking, wait a second, we can't OTA the. I was thinking about it afterwards. I remember we had a big story about Volkswagen ID4 is getting this like big OTA and upgrade and
plug and charge and plug and charge is coming, but no, that's got to go back to your dealer first to get the first step.
Right.
Then it'll accept over the air updates.
And that's happened in Europe, but it hasn't happened here.
I would just like to make the point that not to be Mr. Tesla fanboy over here, but Tesla's been doing this for 10 years.
Yes.
Perfectly. Come on. This is ridiculous.
Right. No, it's perfectly, it's, I mean, the Tesla approach was so different from everybody else's approach. They have like all the modules in the car are all synced together, where and traditionally they've been blocked off. You can maybe make changes to the infotainment system, but that's completely isolated from what's going on with the ECU. Or like the
same with Ioniq 5. Every update the Ioniq 5 has been to the navigation system, which you have to plug a USB port into anyway. It's ridiculous. Tesla set the bar. Everyone's playing catch up. I look from a user experience side, over the air, full vehicle updates. Rivian has it, works great. Tesla has worked great for 10 years. From a customer experience side, it's just unacceptable that no other car can do this. I get why, because there's security concerns, there's lawyers, there's what happens if the car doesn't boot up. I get it, but like they definitely had the right approach here.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think this is one of those places where it's like what do you call it? Not entropy, but just like that's the way they've always done it, like it's just separate modules and everything is isolated. But now, so Tesla's like a new player, brand new clean sheet of paper, design, layout, the concept, everything is like, first principles, I guess, Elon Musk would say, first principles approach to building the car.
That's why it's so hard for the established OEMs to do this. I don't think how many people realize how difficult this is. They are really, really good at buying in bits and assembling them. And some of them are really good at designing them themselves and stamping them themselves and writing the software themselves, but largely they're not. Largely they've become awesome machines at and getting various other people to make all the right bits. They arrive at the factory on a Thursday, they get put into a car Thursday night, and they roll off Friday morning. Like that's what they've been really good at. And so people don't appreciate how hard this is for the established companies to do it. I've got no sympathy, largely because they knew it was coming. And so many of them are still pushing back on going electric. Look at the statements recently from the likes of, Stellantis and the boss of Renault saying, we want to go electric, but we don't want the European Commission to put that 2035 date in stone. Just in case. I mean? There's still some pushback. And obviously the Japanese companies as well. Equally as difficult for the startups. So I don't want to sound like I'm, some sort of, rah, startups the only way to go. Because look at, what was it, Rivian this week? Rivian have got a fallen out with their seat supplier. So Rivian have a legal battle this week with their seat supplier. I don't know what it is over. But like, whether it's the Amazon van or the R1T, like, congratulations, you made a vehicle. It's got no seats. You can't sell it. So also, because, Ford's seat supplier to the F-150 lineup, they're probably not falling out with them, right? That's a big contract to get. So, whereas, like, who's Rivian? So, if you had no seats, no trucks, no Amazon vans, upset Jeff Bezos. So, it's really hard all round. I'm not saying it's easy or more difficult for one or the other.
Maybe they can all catch up a little bit this week because Elon's a little bit busy.
Yeah, well,
yes, yeah. If he can carry on his Twitter moments, then the others can catch up a bit.
That should be this live stream, is just seeing what Twitter bender he's on this morning. I haven't woke up and checked the fire damage yet, but.
Link address. Okay. So,
Dom, if we can get a link to the YouTube premiere for that comparison test in the comments, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I believe we do. There we go. So yeah, if you want to see get a link to that video that's premiering at noon, it's in the comments here on YouTube. All right. So anything else we want to talk about those two cars? Besides, they need to get their OTA stuff together.
Surprisingly different cars, both good options. People have pretty strong opinions about the Volkswagen ID4. I do as well, but I know Kyle's a fan of it. And I know that regardless of what all of us reviewers think, they are selling a load of them.
Right.
Because I see them all over the place.
I enjoy
so enough
driving
people are buying them that they should know what to think about them. Volkswagen did some things very well. Hyundai did some things very well. But surprisingly different for cars that are similar in size, spec, price, range-ish. surprisingly different vehicles.
The Ioniq feels a little bit bigger, right, inside?
It does. I mean, I love driving that car for the first time because you see it in pictures and you think it's tiny, and then it has a longer wheelbase than the Hyundai Palisade 3-row SUV.
Yeah,
which always blows my mind. The big thing that like is very relevant to this audience watching is, of course, the Hyundai charges much faster. And, you know, the big fancy pants Rivian over my shoulder has crybaby issues at a charger last night, but the Ioniq 5, time and time again, I plugged that car in and it would pull huge numbers at the machine without issue. Hot weather, cold weather, other cars sucking from the same grid. That car is a charging superhero.
Right on. So what kind of levels did you see?
Oh God, I've watched that video now so many times. It was definitely around 220 for the most part, if I'm not mistaken. And talking with Tom, I feel like Hyundai doesn't quote a peak charging rate, but it's believed to be somewhere around 230, maybe closer to 240.
Right. That's right. Yeah. For some reason, and you have to charge them on the 350 kilowatt actual charger to get that kind of result too. Right.
And in LA, where, you know, everything else is accessible, finding a 350 machine is like finding a rainbow. They're not as common as you want them to be. I mean, there's a good number of Electrify America stations here. That's not the problem. But yeah, the 350 machines are not, you know, really.
And you have EVgo in LA too, right?
Yeah, but EVgo doesn't come near 350, right?
They do now. They have the new machines they're putting in now that will be 350. Yeah.
I feel like
keep an eye out for that.
I feel like Kyle's obsession with amperage has broken me a little bit because I put a few hundred miles on the MG, the mighty MG ZS EV this week. The mighty car. And yeah, I put a few hundred miles on that to go to a thing at Silverstone, which was interesting. It was a Formula One thing with classic cars. So that was a bit, that was interesting to see. It was a track day as well. So that's where the Formula One happens in this country. But they'd opened it up for a track day. So it's fascinating to see people just bring their road cars along, stick a helmet on, and there was some caterums going around and some really fascinating little two-seater sports cars that I was interested in, even though I love my EVs as well. But yeah, so I was charging. I'd done a couple of 100 miles. The pack was at 35 degrees. It was nice and warm. Down to 10% and plugged it in. The first thing I did was get out and look at the little boilerplate thing on the side of the charger, and I'm like, what's the amperage of this one? Like, what's the amps? It's like a 200 amp charger. I'm like, damn you, because and actually the MG sits at quite a high pack voltage. Even at 10%, it's around 400 volts. Fully, fully it's about 455 volts. But so like 200 times 400 would be 80 kilowatts. It should spit, my car could in theory charge it, and it still peaked at about 65 kilowatts. It's a pretty terrible charging car, even though it's a mighty MG. So, but it's fine. It's still fine. It's serviceable for road trips. I was staying overnight that night, so you plug in. I went and checked in and unpacked my bag and came back half an hour later, and it's full. So it's fine. But yeah, the amps thing is really interesting that not enough people talk about.
It's funny. Yeah, you can get into the specifics on that. It's a great thing for people to learn about. The last time I was on this podcast, we talked about, like, is 50 kW even fast charging anymore? And in the context of the MG, sure, it'll work just fine. But in the context of the monster Rivian, 50 is not going to get the job done, folks. These batteries are too big to mess around with that. It was the same case when I had the BMW iX the other week. Too big of a pack. 50 kilowatt is not going to work.
No. I mean, if you're parked at the airport or like at work or something like that, it's fine. 50 kilowatts, it's fine. In some places, there's some places where it works just fine, but not now, like along the highway or to help people actually travel distances. It's not nearly quick enough unless you have a Chevy Bolt. It can only charge that fast anyway. What was going to ask? I don't even know. Charging.
We cover everything you want and more, Dom. Thank you. Thank you for letting me talk about it. But we're excited about this comparison test. We hope that everybody here goes and watches it too. It's a good one with a lot of different information in it. And there's another person on camera too. You don't just have to listen to me talk the entire time.
Really? Who else is on camera?
Brett Evans, our senior editor.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Right now, I was going to ask you. So you did some charging with the ZE MG ZS or
Yes.
ZS. Did you do that at a Tesla Supercharger?
Oh, I didn't charge it at a Tesla Supercharger, but I wanted.
You can, right?
Yeah, the closest one to me is an hour and a half away, and I couldn't justify going out that evening just for the Twitter photo. And lots of my friends on social media did just for the photo.
Right.
And it's great because although we've seen 16 sites opened up in the UK, they also opened up Austria, Spain, Belgium, and I think somewhere else.
UK, 5 countries, right?
And yeah, 5 countries on top of France, Netherlands, Norway, which were already open. And it's great because we've all followed those conversations. We've had those conversations as Tesla open up the superchargers. And it's funny because my social media tends to follow a lot of Brits, as you can imagine. A lot of people were new to it. And they're like, that car is... one of my friends took his Ioniq 5 to go charge. Like, that car is parked wrong. And it's like, we've been there, my friend. We've gone around the houses so many times. So, of course, I did dive into the conversation and poke people and then ran away very quickly by pointing out, and it's not wrong anymore, because for those 16 stations, it's no longer a Tesla thing. It's an everybody thing. So if that station was full of 12 Ioniq 5s, they'd all be parked correctly. It's only wrong if you think it's your own now. And actually, I saw more pushback, again, maybe due to the volume of stuff. And it was probably a ratio of 5 to 1. Most people are happy that they're opening up, but I saw more people annoyed than I did when the European ones opened up. More people saying, I bought a Tesla because of the premium of the supercharging network. I know that when I get there, it's full of like-minded people who have probably parked considerately, who are not power sharing. You know, they're not going to park if it's an empty station. They're not going to power share the one next to me. Like, they get it. People saying they're going to be blocked, etc., etc. And I did check in on the app, and there's the Cardiff one, and that had 0 available of that evening. So whether it was Teslas or other people, I don't know. We don't tend to have as many queues as you have, particularly on the West Coast. I've never seen bad. Right. I've seen stalls being shared on a busy day, but I've never seen even one car queuing ever for a supercharger. Ever in this country. I've never seen somebody waiting. And even if they were, it'd be, be 1 or 2 cars and then you're straight on. So yeah, 16 in locations where I think they would be very useful to people. It's about 60 pence, which is probably
a lot.
80 cents for you per kilowatt hour.
That's a lot. Holy God.
It is.
Maybe 85 cents per kilowatt hour. And then you can take a $10.99 subscription, which lowers it to like 40 pence or something. So I think I think the break-even point is if you pull 100-ish kilowatt hours a month as a non-Tesla user, it's worth paying the 11 quid sub every month. Otherwise, just do it ad hoc. Exactly the same as it's been in Europe so far. You open up your app and you just say which station, which number and letter you're on, and it uses your Apple Pay or whatever you got set up, and it just off you go. It starts the charge. Yeah, and I didn't think it was going to happen so soon, because we have some regulations here which specifically say that public charging networks must have a way of charging which doesn't require an app, doesn't require setting anything up, and doesn't mean that the charging company captures any personal data. So, of course, with a Tesla, you do have to have the Tesla app, and you have to be registered with it. And as far as I know, from the experts that in the industry that I know, it's non-compliant. And when I pointed that out, much to the annoyance of the Tesla community, I pointed out, well, this is kind of what Elon Musk and Tesla do. They'll take a flyer and wait for the British government or the regulator to say, no, you need to put card readers, tap card readers on all of your machines, which they'll never do. Right. And then they'll either say, stop us, or they'll be like, well, you're going to take charges away from all these people now, whatever. So as far as I know, they're in breach over here.
Hey, Martin, don't they have 12 months from the opening of a station to the public to become compliant?
That's the different way of reading it. It's like, is it 12 months from when the station opened?
Yeah,
or the day it became public. And who knows? I don't know either way. I've seen a lot of debate online about this. I kind of love it that if Tesla are in breach, they're like, well, we're going to open them. What are you going to do?
It's ultimately better for the end user in this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're fast. I think all but one of the stations is they're all V3s, apart from one, which is in our Prime Minister's constituency.
They can go 500 amp at 400 volt.
So they got one V2, but yes, they're nice and quick, and you know what, I would use them absolutely all the time. I don't care what it costs, because I do long journeys so infrequently that if I'm doing it, I'm inevitably with my family, and I want for there to be space and for it to work. And with Tesla, there will be space and it will work, because it's all vertically integrated. They make the hardware, they make the app. Whereas, you know, we have got hubs. Yeah, we've got Braintree that's like 36 or 38 stations. We've got Norwich, which is a bunch, and we've got more opening up that are in the double figures.
What's
right?
What's that Ned company? Ned.
GridServe. So the electric
from Holland
Ned is what you're thinking of?
Fastned as well. Yeah,
they
got. There's not many of those over here, but
I think they've opened up one in Cardiff this week.
Okay, that's cool. And that
you're gonna go check it out, Tom, or are you?
Yeah, I thought, you know, and I made a.
But they usually only have 4 or 6 at the most plugins.
This one had 8.
It's very rare to see, you know, 10, 12, 14, 16, which is what Tesla is. So it's so good for the non-Tesla community, and largely painting with, you know, broad brushstrokes. The Tesla community is largely supportive of it as well, as long as Tesla don't grind to a halt and not add more to their network.
I mean, they've been pretty good about expanding and investing in the Supercharger network. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see them. I don't see them busy. But the third-party networks here, they are, you know, we're lucky because before you had Electrify America, you know, the US was playing catch up a bit. We've had a lot of infrastructure for a long time, but they've all been 50s. So they've all been like 1 or 2. You know, they've been in the ground 10 years, but they're still 50s. So
50 kilowatts.
Yeah. So we're lucky, but also unlucky that there's too many of those that are just a single charger, or they're broken, or you turn up and there's a queue.
Well, now they have competition, so.
Yeah.
Someone just asked, can the Tesla units support 800 volts? Not at the moment. You have to use the onboard booster to step the voltage up in the car, which every 800 volt class of EV has boosting capabilities. Yeah, that's the main problem for me. Is like a Taycan, you're only going to get max 130, 140 kilowatts on there. Right. You're not going to be hitting peak speeds. Ioniq 5, you'll be getting probably a bit more than that, because the way they work it with the inverter is the Ioniq 5 goes to the maximum voltage the charger can output and then says, give me all the current you got. It's really, really unique. The Taycan is just a box that splits the pack voltage in the real time. So
that's so indicative of German cars too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's take this slow. Let's make sure everything's cool here.
Right. Yeah. And the Ioniq, the Kia situation, just that's the way to do a booster, in my opinion. They really got it figured out.
Did you guys hear a chime?
That's me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. As long as it's just me, then I'm
popular around the morning.
Okay.
So I would open them all up. I would, you know, this is 20% of the UK network they've opened up, and I imagine they've got endless data, and they'll know that they're not going to cause queues, and they'll monitor it closely. But open the whole thing up, and then and then like we've seen in Norway, then you can then get some public money to open up more of them. They got knocked back in Texas because Texas spent some of the federal money, or it wasn't the VW money, but Texas spent some money recently, and it was on a first come first serve basis. So Tesla put their bids in for an open public charging network in in Texas. Okay. And I think I think the bids opened at midnight, and by 12:01 they were all assigned or something bizarre. I can't possibly imagine how they ended up choosing. It seems to be petrochemical companies that won all the bids in Texas, or the oil companies. It's really strange. It's really strange. What a coincidence. What? So Tesla
any power in that state.
Texas were what a shame. So I think it's a real shame there, that because actually that Tesla asked for significantly less money than the people who actually ended up winning those bids, and their promise was for a public network, and it would have been the first one in the US. And then it's fascinating to see how they do it. Do they do it with dual head plugs? I think at the minute, unless they're spending public money or winning bids, they're going to make you guys buy an adapter. And I think it'll be $200 or $300, and I think that's how they'll do CCS in the US.
I think so too. A lot of Cadillac Lyriq talk in the chat this morning.
Yeah, a lot of Cadillac Lyriq chatting in the chat.
It's been that way for like the last 3 weeks on everything we've done. It's Lyriq. I don't understand why.
We're driving it soon.
Yeah, we're driving it very soon.
Weeks, we get our first drive of the Cadillac Lyriq. Now I'm just seeing it in commercials, and Mary Barra drives it around town from time to time. But I think that's the extent of its life so far. I'm sure there's a lot to learn on Lyriq. I'm intrigued by it. But
someone had a question. So can it realistically charge at 180, 190 kilowatts? I don't know.
It'll pull 500 amps. Hummer EV pulls 500 amps. It's got big enough pack. It should be.
Right.
And
but it's 400 volts. It's not 800 volts. So, right.
No, it's 4. But you can still, that's the same as EQS, i4, iX, Rivian R1T. They all need the big amperage. And good luck doing it at an ABB station, but you should be able to do it occasionally when you can find the hardware to output that much power.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think we have something Lyriq coming up, but anyway, we should get on with the show. So, all right, our first bit of news is Honda has released its first image of the Prologue SUV that it's building with help from GM. It was styled at the Honda Design Studios in Los Angeles. According to Honda, it shows a hint of the Honda E in its design, which I don't really see a whole lot of that going on, but that's what they say. Martin, maybe you can show the audience a picture of the Honda E to refresh any fuzzy memories out there. They have the link in fuchsia on the show notes right below there.
I've opened up the wrong one. Give me a second.
That's all right. So like the Honda E is like the city car that Honda makes. It's like the only electric car they make up until this moment. Or they had the Clarity electric, but they stopped making that a year or so ago. So they have this Honda Prologue, which they say has Honda E, I guess, style DNA, but anyway, we'll see here in a second. But
so we shouldn't carry that PR torch. That is not true.
Right. I'm just saying that's just what they say, and it's definitely not like in the face or anything of it. Maybe like in the soft body lines, because like the Prologue, when we see that back again, there's no like sharp creases really. It's kind of soft.
Yeah, the bodywork is somewhat rounded, and they both have wheels.
Right. But there's you wouldn't look at one and automatically think, oh yeah, that's some family DNA going on there. So this, let me see. So the Prologue, I don't think it's bad looking. I think it's a little anonymous, but well, I guess see what the jury says. Sometimes I don't want to get too critical, because sometimes we're hard on design when we see it on paper, but then we see it in person and this is much better. So this is supposed to arrive in 2024 or 2 years from now, and as I mentioned, it's co-developed with GM. It sits on the Ultium platform, as will a vehicle for Acura. These are just the first Ultium cars for Honda. They've expanded their agreement with GM recently, and they will co-develop even more cars that will go on sale in 2027, which I guess it could be Ultium 2.0 by then. Honda has an interesting EV strategy. It's like partnering with other companies. So, for instance, they also have a deal with Sony to bring cars it's developed to market in like 2025. So, I don't know. Anywho, so that's what do we think of this, and why is it not adorable like the Honda E?
Because it's American and a crossover and all the things that we want out of this type of vehicle.
Right.
At first, I just, like you said the right word, maybe a little anonymous. I think it's very BZ4X in that regard. It's like, it's not going to piss anybody off. It's not going to break any ground, but it's like clean enough looking. The GM partnership is where things get really interesting for me, because somebody said it in the chat. This is Blazer EV for all intents and purposes. So
or is it the Buick? Or is it because like this, they're going to have this similar size kind of, because I don't know, I can't tell if this is like the same size as Lyriq. But all that stuff sits on so there's going to be like a Chevy Blazer on this Ultium platform and a Buick on this Ultium platform, and we have the Cadillac coming. But they can be different sizes. It's kind of a flexible sort of design.
So let me rephrase and make it more simple. How much GM is going to be in this Honda, and will you be able to see it when you're driving it?
That is very good because the software, I assume, is all going to be like the Altium OS, right?
Yes, which is far and away different from what Honda has in any of their current lineup. Probably, I mean, extremely different from what's in the Honda E too.
Oh
so
yeah,
I wonder.
It probably won't have the aquarium that the Honda E has.
I know. Yeah, that's such a cool, series of tech that's in that car. It stinks that none of that is in the American Honda products.
Right. It kind of stinks that it only has like a low amount of range as well, the Honda E. But this will have this will probably have like a 100 kilowatt hour battery, though, I would imagine, though, right? That's what the Lyriq has.
That seems high for what's probably not going to be a premium product.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't be that big.
Okay. I mean, it's the Altium platform. They can take out a couple of different modules. I think like I can't remember how many modules are actually in this. I believe it's 12 in this and then 24 in the Hummer. So maybe they can take out a couple, like a 10 module Ultium battery. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of interesting. I was surprised to see it, like they gave away the whole sketch, like the whole basic exterior design. I imagine there'll be some changes. I don't know. Did they even have like flush door handles?
I don't know. When Honda shows a prototype vehicle, by and large, it's very close to production spec. Right. They do this with all their gas-powered cars as well. They show something off as a prototype. They make a few tweaks. Most of the time, their prototype sketches also show multiple trim levels. So you can take away, there's probably going to be maybe a trail sport version like we have on Passport, something that's a little bit more rugged like Solterra. So you kind of take away those details from a Honda prototype sketch.
Right. Yeah. So it doesn't have flush door handles, which is, I think, man, they say in the press release about this design that they made it smooth or whatever for aero reasons. So if you're going to take an aero into account, why not make the door handles and the flush handles look kind of modern to me now anyway, because I see them on more premium product all the time. And so it's like,
what I found more interesting this week with Honda is they put a sketch out and it got a ton of attention, and yet they also launched their ENS1 and their ENP1 in China, the first of 10 cars with a China JV, and no one paid any attention.
Yeah, I didn't even see this.
Yeah, because this is real. So this is the first of these are the first two cars. It's a joint venture, obviously, but they're building their own Honda factory in China, opening 2024, and next year they'll start exporting these to Europe as well. And that's what's fascinating is they put a sketch out and everyone kind of goes crazy and wild over a thing that's out maybe in 2 years' time, and in China, quietly getting on with it. Hey, here's the car. It's on sale now. The first of ENP1, ENS1. Kind of weird.
I would have made this their global strategy because I was looking at the sketches of those vehicles last night, actually, at that series, and they're much more distinctive looking. It's a very strong styling statement, and I'm not sure why they're going with like different suppliers and partners.
Well, they're using other people to try and enter different markets, but
right. It's a capital saving for them. They don't have to pour all that money into R&D. They would have, maybe they can get a discount rate borrowing it from another manufacturer, and that helps like GM out because GM can now order up 200,000 copies of this battery instead of 150,000 copies of this battery cell. So it's scale brings the prices down and helps everybody out in the long run.
Yeah, so, I guess so. And there's the E range. There's Honda's Chinese cars, and so
it's a lot softer looking than the concepts they showed.
Yeah, and what's amazing is exporting to Europe in 2023. Like that quietly slipped under my radar. I saw that this week. I was like, what? Right. Okay, yeah, fine. It's got the Honda badge, which no one's got a problem with. Interesting article this week on Nikkei Asia, and so if you look at Japanese publications being critical to Japanese companies, it doesn't happen too often. Really critical article about our domestic Japanese car makers are falling further and further behind, and it ripped into Toyota and Honda to be like, the management of these companies are not forward thinking. We can't wait for solid state batteries, which is a lot of jam tomorrow. It's like, yeah, 5 years away. We can't wait for hydrogen. Yeah, 5 years away. And I was like, wow, not often you see. It's a bit like, Chinese state media. When you look at Japan really having a go at some companies that they're very proud of on a global scale. I think there's genuine concern amongst at least that journalist writing, and I saw an English translation of it, over how they might be losing some of that amazing reputation that was very, very hard fought and, very well deserved.
I hear you. I need to look that up, because that is kind of interesting. You don't really hear that kind of criticism in Japanese news. All right, so let's move on to our next thing. So the Genesis GV60 went on sale this week. This is the third in a trilogy of vehicles that includes the Kia EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5. We'd like to mention it when the cars, finally make it to the job one stage. So here you are. The base price is $58,890 before destination, which is like $1,020 or something. It's only available in all-wheel drive for now, with the big 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery. Rear drive is coming, though. We don't have a video on this quite yet, but we do have a written review on motor1.com that's pretty comprehensive. So you can just go to motor1.com and type in GV60, and it's probably going to be the first thing that pops up. So I think in most respects, this is probably the best of the three. In most respects, might not be the prettiest one according to some people, but we can talk about that.
According to me, I don't know why we talk about this car every time I'm on the show, because I don't like this car at all.
Oh, really?
We do it on purpose, don't worry.
Yeah.
So it's got more horsepower than the EV6 and Ioniq 5 in base trim, which they call advanced. The other trim is called performance, and it has even more power, 429 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque, to be exact. 0 to 60 is like 4 seconds, so it's plenty quick. And it has a little boost button on it, too. Actually, you can boost up for 10 seconds on the performance version. I forget how much it boosts, but it boosts quite a bit. Liv Lee thinks it says, I think it's so pretty. It's not bad I think it's a lot better in white than it is that like acid yellow green color. That I think that's what we had actually to drive.
Show us the rear 3/4 of it.
Yeah. So range wise, it's the worst of the three cars, with the 235 miles of EPA range. Handling wise, it's a little different from the other EGMP cars that on that EGMP platform. It's got a quicker steering rack. So Kyle, I know you like the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6 quite a bit. Are you excited by the GV60 at all?
For me, no. But what's really interesting is my mom has fallen in love with this car, so much so that she has ordered a maxed out performance version and is taking delivery like soon. And she'll be one of the first. She's
really?
one of the first on the list. Yeah. She drives a Porsche Macan now. She thinks it looks like her Macan. She loves the Napa leather seats. And, my dad has the Ioniq 5. They're comfortable with that chassis. And then her move is GV60, and she is like number 2 on the list for a local dealer for the electric Macan. So she's like, I'm tired of driving gas. Let me get the GV60 to hold me over until the electric Macan comes in. They're going to spec that, and that'll be the keeper.
Wow. She get that Macan like 6 months ago?
My parents, they
swap out cars. Yeah.
That's a family thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But they just got the value for their Macan, and I think they're making $4,000 on it, which is crazy. Wow. That you can buy cars, sell it, and make money. Like, yeah, let's try new stuff.
It's a bizarre world, man.
Yeah, so my dad loves his Ioniq 5. He's like, you can't take this thing away from me. He's sold on that car. He loves it after having some of the worst and best cars on sale in history. He loves the Ioniq 5. The GV60 I've seen in person. I think it looks better in person than it does in photos. I agreed with Clint when the car launched that it was not good. It was not Genesis. Genesis makes some of those beautiful cars on sale. We've had this conversation. I'm not a design guy, but I'm like, even I can realize that something's not right here. And so, yeah, thought it came out better in person. My parents just went to the Genesis house. They shot a video for our channel, which I love that they're starting to get into YouTube stuff. And they did a full tour, checking out the cars, and that's what convinced my mom.
That's a good video. What channel is that on?
Out of Spec Reviews. Yeah,
Out of Spec Reviews. Yeah,
full like big tour of the Genesis house display thing in New York, and yeah, it was really cool of them to do that.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think your dad's going to fall in love with I mean, I think the interior is like super nice on the GV60. Like the crystal sphere is like such a great touch. It's like this.
But they said you need to get the performance version to get the good interior. So to get Napa leather seats, you need to get the thing with the boost and the drift mode, which my parents really need.
Right, of course they do.
That's an important thing.
But you know, even the other trim level has the crystal sphere, though, right?
Yeah, I believe they all have the sphere.
I mean, that's all I need. I just need that.
And it comes with 3 years of free Electrify America charging, I believe.
Right, that was the other
30-minute sessions.
Yeah. That's all you need.
Yeah. That's all you need, yeah. In that
car?
They
claim, by the way, an unplug and re-plug in. After you hit your 30 minutes, you have to wait 1 hour in between. We have found out, at least, you don't have to wait an hour. You just unplug it after 30 minutes, plug it back in, you still get free charging.
God, don't tell anybody. But okay.
I just told everybody. Why would I not tell anyone? That's hilarious.
Yeah. You get 2 specs, we get 3. So our base model is a single motor rear wheel drive. And then it's our middle spec, all wheel drive, is your base spec. So they've had another one for the European market.
Is it just launched now in Europe?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Because the EV6 from Kia and the Ioniq 5, they all launched in Europe like a year or something ahead of here.
Yeah.
So, So with this car, at least they're doing it all at the same time. I kind of like.
And that makes sense because the Genesis brand is new to Europe. So they only launched their Genesis Europe Instagram account about 3 months ago. So they've been obviously building up their I don't know, the people over here and what have you. So Genesis hasn't been a thing over here yet, but I'm pretty confident in what they'll do. I saw this in person 3 weeks ago. The car looks great. They know what they're talking about. They've got the great backing of Hyundai Kia. So I don't know how the public will take to a brand they've never heard of before, but we'll see. I mean, there's not going to be many of these entering the market at all.
Well, and I've never heard of it here either.
Okay, I think I spec'd it to 74,000 top version, but then actually the UK configurator has some different stuff to you guys. Like you get vehicle to load, or the little droopy dongle thing that sticks out the side of the car. That comes as
droopy dongle.
The little dongle that comes as standard in the US, and we have to add something like a tech pack that's about £2,000, and you get a bunch of stuff as standard, which is on our options list. So yeah, it's interesting how they do things in different territories. There must be good reasons for that.
So $58,890. That's I don't know. It sounds like a really good value compared to that's under the price of the Tesla Model Y, I believe. It's less
like
than
$1,000 more, or a couple $1,000 more than a maxed out Ioniq 5.
Yeah,
and it makes sense.
That's where I don't see the appeal all that much, to be honest with you.
Slightly
I just
cheaper
don't see enough different with this car. I understand Napa leather, and of course you can point out specific things, but overall, and this is how I initially didn't like this, if you peeled the badges off of this car, the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, I couldn't immediately tell you which is the premium looking vehicle, especially from that angle right there.
Totally agree. And the Ioniq 5 looks the best. The Ioniq 5 looks the most premium to me.
Right, but from the inside, it's a little different, right?
Kyle, please do a parental battle comparison test extravaganza with the two cars.
We're going to do a drag race between my parents.
But I mean, this is slightly cheaper than the Cadillac Lyriq, even.
Where's the appeal of the Lyriq? Someone has to explain it to me. Everyone has been asking.
Tell you after we drive it? I don't know. I like to reserve judgment until I at least drive.
No, I know, but no one can talk about what it drives like, right?
Right.
But there's so much inherent excitement for this vehicle. That's what I'm wondering. Where does this inherent excitement come from? That I'm just
I don't
not.
know. I mean, I haven't even seen that much marketing, so
I think
it's kind of taken me by surprise.
People inherently root for GM too, and I understand that. I mean, people want GM to do better in a lot of ways as well. So I think that some of that translates from Corvette people over to EV people too. They don't want to see
an
them
older
totally
generation
flop.
thing. People are commenting. It's like we aspired to own a Cadillac growing up. I was Clint. I think you and I are after that generation a little bit.
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's like
Even my generation didn't aspire. The Cadillacs of the 80s, like that's nothing to aspire to, you know?
yeah. Here's what does excite me about the potential of Lyriq. Escalade is the best car that Cadillac makes across the board. It is a phenomenal vehicle. And
So-
Lyriq looks to cherry pick some of the best parts of the Escalade experience, I think. Because like
Yeah.
Escalade infotainment is otherworldly, and it is not shoved into any of their normal stuff. It's literally not even XT6. It's just its own thing. So if Lyriq can take some of that, you know, integrate Super Cruise, integrate some of the things that GM does well, there's potential for it to be good.
Yeah, I agree. I think the car could be really good. I'm not saying that. There's so much excitement. I just couldn't believe that people were excited for this. I'm not saying I'm not excited.
They had like 200,000 hand raisers, like or expressions of interest, and they expect to sell, 10% of those to turn into actual orders, which is 20,000 cars, which is not bad. Because at first, I thought when it first like debuted, it was like the reaction felt kind of muted to me. I didn't think there was like a huge outpouring. So this is, I'm surprised at the apparent popularity of it right now.
Lyriq is another car from the rear 3/4 angle that I just wonder why they had to do that.
Oh, really? I like that. I like that big brake light thing on the side, and they carry that over into a lot of their what's the thing coming out next? Celestique.
Yeah, great name. Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, I mean,
Martin, why'd you have to do that to me?
So yeah,
that's just not good looking.
And back 3/4 angle.
It's not the best, is it?
No.
I mean, I don't mind it.
Awful.
See, they're trying to see they got that horizontal line on the bottom that's like sort of like Cadillac DNA, right? They have it on the front, the signature like horizontal lines, and they just carry. The back is the hatchback angle. Is that we all kind of like?
But why are the tail lights in front of the rear seat passenger?
Yeah, that's
I get it.
I mean, this is kind of the look they wrap around to the extreme, I guess, all the way up that.
You get to
C-pillar.
Same with the Genesis too. You get to the C-pillar, and people are just like, "This is it. We have to make our statement here." That's not the point of a car that you need to make a design statement. A damn C-pillar.
Right. I like the C-pillar thing on the Genesis GV60, that little V shape thing.
No, sir.
No way. Are you crazy?
I thought it was at least something, because the rest of it was kind of, like not anonymous, because it's got that Genesis like turn signal, like the lines kind of look going on. That's yeah.
Kyle and Clint's design podcast will be scheduled at another time.
No, I don't count me in on that. I don't want to. I just want to drive this stuff. I don't want to talk about what it looks like. I just think most cars are pretty ugly these days.
Okay, so
that's
let's
the
talk
problem.
about.
Is I agree with you, but geez, that is like actually offensive.
Yeah, that's not good. That's a jelly bean.
Okay, well, we'll have to get you in at Clinton and see if it changes your mind after some time. And but so let's move on to the next thing. So Tesla sent out some emails this week to let some people know with Model Ys on order that they could change their order and get an inventory Model Y that was built at the new Gigafactory in Austin, Texas. So this is the Model Y with one-piece casting for the front and rear, with a structural battery pack stuffed with the new 4680 cells. It's $2,000 cheaper partly because it's an inventory car, and it also has a lower range, so 279 miles. That's 39 miles less than the 319 mile Model Y long range. 0 to 60 is about 5 seconds. So it's no slouch, but that's still like 2/10 slower than the Model Y long range if you're keeping score. So maybe the best thing about it is the waiting time, because they're inventory cars. So either customers cancel or they're just building some extra cars in a particular spec. So they're available, I guess, right away. If you happen to live near the Gigafactory in Austin, at least, I think they're limiting it to that area for some reason or other. So I guess the main question is, and actually I have a lot of questions, but I guess the main one is, why is the range less? I thought these new batteries and the weight savings with this new construction would give them, far better the range than the ones from Fremont with the old battery technology. Is the pack just smaller energy wise? Will they make bigger ones? I want to believe like this is going to be a better driving car because should be somewhat lighter and hopefully have a more torsional rigidity and stuff. But I don't know, Kyle, what are your thoughts on this?
I never thought the Model Y needed more torsional rigidity or more lightness. The thing already handles from a performance setting way better than almost any other crossover. It rides like crap on the road as the downside. It's terrible to drive. Now, the thing is, I've heard newer production Model Ys have a revised suspension. I just drove a brand new Model 3 with a revised suspension, and very interesting. But this whole genesis of this story, which is Tesla is now allowing you to change your car to accelerate delivery, isn't just for Model Y. I have an order in for a Model S, and it just popped up and said, hey, we got a car matching your spec in Denver right now. Do you want to come down and get it? And it had the wrong wheels, so I said no. But if it had the right wheels, I would have been there yesterday. And so it's across the whole line. They're trying to get more cars through, less cars sitting on the lot. Model X orders, the real story here, 2 years from order to delivery. What is going on here? My friend just ordered a new Model X and got it like in a couple weeks. So they're like prioritizing some people and then making other people wait years. I don't get it.
Yeah, like 2 years. That's a long time to ask somebody to wait for a car. Like that's not
for a car that's been on sale for that long too. I mean, that is a crazy amount of time to wait.
Yeah, I
don't believe Tesla wait times, by the way.
What's that, Martin?
I don't believe Tesla wait times. I'm not saying some people haven't waited a long time for a Plaid, but in terms of how they do it in Europe, I know so many people that have got their car way sooner. So the design studio might say November, right? Or October, November, December. That creates buzz. It creates scarcity. It creates holy crap, I better get my deposit in to get in line because I got to wait a year to get a car. I know so many people who within a few weeks, they get the call and like there's a boat coming from China. So 4,000 cars left Shanghai. And on that, I don't know, they put 500 versions of this one, right? So Tesla are quite good at learning what their customers are going to order, making that many. Because the thing for people to understand, when you order a Tesla, you're not ordering a car. So it doesn't then print out like a pizza order in the kitchen and someone goes, let's make one of these, right? Everyone knows that's not how it works, right? So you put your order in, hundreds of them get loaded onto a 4,000 just left Shanghai headed for Europe. And I know so many people that have got, hey, so your configuration's available now. It's going to be in the UK in 2 weeks' time. Come to Southampton and get it, or we'll bring it, to wherever. So the wait time thing is partly true. And I'm convinced it's partly because Tesla are brilliant at creating a scarcity effect around their product. And it keeps used prices high. And it's and those people that have to wait 6 or 9 months because they wanted it in midnight silver and they wanted the 20-inch wheel. And Tesla were like, well, we made 100 of those and we had 105 orders. So those 5 people had to wait another 9 months, right? But a lot of people get their car much quicker. So,
so that's interesting. I've seen multiple reports of people already waiting a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't.
But it might be, I don't know. It didn't seem like weird configurations to me. Who knows? Either way, it seems like Model X specifically is having more of these wait time issues than others. I will say I literally placed an order for a Model S, and then in just 4 days, 5 days, however long it's been, they're like, yeah, you're ready. Let's go.
What's wrong with the wheels? Why not take the ones they offered?
I want to put Martian wheels on it, and we're leaving on a trip for 2 months, and so I kind of actually want it to wait a few weeks. And the one there had the 21-inch wheels, and I just wanted the arrows. It's $4,500, and then I thought, okay, well maybe I'll just keep them and sell them or something. I don't know, but they're not worth anything, and I don't really want to deal with selling used wheels. And it would just sit in the garage anyway, so I'm like, I'll just wait for mine to come in.
So you're adding the Model S to the fleet?
Maybe we'll see. Yeah, ordered it. I put a whole video up on Out of Spec Reviews again this past week explaining everything going on. We have a Rivian R1T, the Model S, a few other Taycan coming, and we're just trying to piece together what cars make sense to make content with. because
I watched part of that. I was looking.
Hard to get on media loan. We're lucky, like no reason for me to ever buy an i4. There's one sitting in Denver I can borrow anytime. So we're just trying to piece the cars that we kind of need for recurring coverage together.
Right. I think I watched part of that video. It's the one with you showing off your new Land Rover.
Yeah, the new Rover.
So you get, so Kyle got a gas. It's not electric, so we can't talk about it. Oh, yeah, we don't need to talk about it. But it's super nice. So it's like, what year is it?
It's a 91. It's a Range Rover Classic.
Yes, it's like old. It's like a few years newer than my truck.
Right. Yeah. They didn't change it from the 70s.
Much better shape on the inside. That interior, like sweet.
Yeah. So they didn't change it from the 70s to like the late 90s. I got a really late one, zero rust, super mint. Love it. It's right beneath me in the garage, and just didn't, just life had to have one. Love it.
You did the startup test, cold engine startup test. I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear it actually on the video. Maybe I needed to put my headphones on.
Just the mic was on me, but it just fires right into life.
Right.
Good old Buick.
But it's not loud. Is my point. It's not like it's not loud. It's like nice and modern sounding, quiet.
Yeah, well, which is interesting is we now have 2 black SUVs and almost exactly 30 years between them. And,
nice. 30 years and a whole lot of technology changes.
It's just pretty amazing. Yeah. And it's like they're both, luxury SUVs, but like 30 years ago, man, does it feel so primitive compared to what the Audi has in it.
So but looking at that garage, I'll tell you, Range Rover EV is one of the things I'm most excited about in the coming years. I really mean it. New Range Rover is such a damn home run, and I think they can translate that to a truly incredible EV product.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I am psyched to see that car.
Okay. I don't know what I don't know what Range off the top of my head. I know they had a program going on with the Jaguar Range Rover, and then they canceled a platform, and
it's coming. EV's confirmed, and same with their awesome plug-in hybrid, which seems mega as well. 50 kilowatt DC fast charging, which I'm not sure I'm recommending you DC fast charge your plug-in EV. 33 kilowatt hour battery pack, and you now get the good inline 6-engine engine
instead of
versus the terrible garbage 4-cylinder they put in the last one.
And I think it's like 60 miles of prospective range. It's a pretty big range figure for a plug-in.
I think if you drive around the city, you could touch 100 miles if you hypermile.
Really? That's interesting.
That's what I
think it's going to weigh 1 trillion pounds, but what a
it's got 33 kilowatt hours. That's nothing to joke at. And if you're regenning a lot and you're driving around the city, maybe it's a stretch, but I know some people inside Land Rover and they're like, 100 miles might be doable.
That's 3/4 of the size of the mighty MG that sits behind this wall. Yeah. So that's a big pack,
And it has the weight of the MG in right behind its rear axle.
It's like a third bigger than the battery in my car, which is full electric.
2024, 2025. 24, 25
for Range Rover EV is
electric.
We'll probably see it next year. We'll see it. It'll be
that'd be great.
2024.
They've got to do they've got to do nothing else to it apart from put a big battery in it. So they can't.
Joshua G in chat just said the sideburns guy from Electric Classic Cars has made some great ones.
Yeah, no, he has. Yeah.
Some conversions. I just laughing at the sideburns guy. Yeah. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but it's a great channel. You can Google Electric Classic Cars. And
there's also another company here that's pretty famous for converting Land Rovers to electric. They're in Florida. It's called ECD. They've made electric Defenders and Range Rovers and other stuff too. I'd love to be able to send mine there one day, but it's like $200,000 to have them drop it back. I'm like,
it's not cheap. It's not cheap for sure. Yeah, I'm curious about those guys too. I was thinking that we had a chance to drive one or something, but I guess we didn't.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go, and I keep delaying it. I keep running out of time.
All right, so that's the main big stories of the day. But speaking about Tesla, the Semi now order books are open, so you can reserve a Tesla Semi for $20,000. I don't think they have it delivered yet, but
they won't tell you when it arrives, but they'll take
congratulations.
Let's let you know. I mean, well, that's something, right? That's something. We're been waiting for a while now for some movement on the Semi front.
It kind of means nothing to me. Opening the order books doesn't mean anything.
They were due at the end of last year, and we're almost what's Memorial Day weekend is fast approaching, and then it's summer, right? Officially summer, so we're 6 months into the year, and it was going to be out last November, December. Everyone knew Tesla Twitter knew. All of those insiders that post breaking news, they knew, they guaranteed it was out last November. They posted pictures of them putting the Supercharged into, was it Frito-Lay or someone there? Like, they knew 100%. 6 months later, where are these damn trucks?
Well, it was unveiled in 2017.
Some of these people.
So that's like 5 years.
Free loan to Tesla.
Yeah.
Man. It's,
anyway, whatever. So give them your 20 grand. I mean, look, there's people sitting on roads to deposits that
so deliveries are expected to begin in 2023, but we don't know exactly when. So right, it's 2022, so it's still, I don't know, a year, a little less than a year.
Christmas Eve 2023.
I mean, if you're like in the market actually for a semi truck, that's kind of lead time you kind of want, but you'd also want to know for sure like when that's happening.
Yeah, because you're not going to be placing your Volvo order. You're going to be waiting on these, and then they won't show up.
Right? Yeah. They have to have commercial contracts a little different from selling retail. All right. So that's happening. And the Mercedes Vision AMG debuted as a preview of a performance EV.
Super
I don't know
cool.
did you see this, Kyle? I know you're not into big concepts and stuff.
Not into any of this.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, well, how about this? That will become a Taycan competitor. Does that mean anything?
When they have it that I can drive, then I'll pay attention.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the EQXX design language in there a little bit.
The front is interesting to me. It kind of looks like a Link EV to me.
Oh, really?
Parts of it. I don't know.
I agree with that. It's got Link
very
vibes.
Weird Mercedes stuff going on here in the design department, but Gordon goes for it every now and then with a crazy one.
Hey, I got a bigger Mercedes story for you. Can I mention this really quick?
Yeah.
I was getting my Sprinter service yesterday and walked into the showroom, and I saw a wonderfully bad-looking EQS. I'm just not a fan of it. Whatever. I was like, okay, there it is. Nice. It's an AMG one. And I see the sticker print out on the windshield, and it said $162,000. I'm like, okay, so no ceramics, not maxed out. And then it said plus $100,000 markup. And it's like, oh my God.
For AMG EQS?
Yep. It was
$100,000.
100 over. And that's just ridiculous. So you're over $250,000 for that right there. If you buy it, which I highly recommend you don't ever, and gave them a lot of crap for it. And, I think we blew up their social accounts because I posted about it too. So looks like we won't be welcome back there to get our Sprinter serviced again. And
yeah, seriously. That's
that's ridiculous. Though. You can't not double the, but $100,000.
Like 5 over, 10 over, free market. I get it, right? Like if you have like 3 for the year, someone's going to pay 5 or 10 over. Apparently, they were doing 300 over on GTRs, which is crazy. The AMG
Black
GTR.
Series.
Yeah, I don't even think they were Black Series. They did the green
no
one.
chance it's a non-black series for 3.
Apparently, some guy walked in and bought both of them at 300 over each.
Jeez.
Man, I want fun money just for like a week, just to see what I can do with it.
Just FU money, just like whatever. But that's the thing, like it's on principle. So in contrast, I want to do this video on do all dealerships suck? Because I firmly believe they don't. We have a great dealer group here in town that they get a very small allocation of cars. They only work with clients typically locally that they know in their base, and they will not charge you a penny over sticker, regardless of the car. It could be a GT3 RS. They're a Porsche dealer. They will not charge you a penny over sticker. They know the people they're selling the cars to aren't going to go and flip them. They're longtime customers. And that's the way to do it, in my opinion, to build long-term success. But it's free market. They can charge whatever they want. I just thought it was crazy. 100 over for an EQS.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Hey, before we go, Renault is going to bring the Mobilize brand to the UK, and Kyle, it is introducing a Twizy successor. I don't know if you
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
I knew you'd be excited
this is
about this,
another car I've got to buy and ship to
Whoa!
Colorado. So I'm racking up the cars that I've got to stick in a container. Maybe I could just put 2 or 3 in a container, but this is another
you
one.
You can fit 2 of those.
That's worth 100 over right there.
So this is the Twizy successor, and usual kind of specs for a city car that is going to be part of ride sharing and things like that, or
So what do you know about this car, Martin?
Very little.
Okay.
It's orange.
So
it's a 2-seater, 2-door.
Yeah, it's 2-seater, but it's not up front and out back. It's side to side. Very much like Citroën Ami.
Oh, it's a side by side.
It's a side by side, and apart from that, I know they said it's a custom EV skateboard design, as if it's like some sort of $50,000 car. I'm like, okay, well,
like 10 kilowatt-hour battery pack.
I'd hope it was designed from the ground up and not built on something else. But yeah, the Twizy's been around a long time.
But the Twizy had the seats like one in front of the other,
that's right,
like a plane, airport.
Yeah, it's time to update it. But again, I think in France you can drive these from 14 years old, and that's a hell of a lot more safer than a moped or a scooter. For your kids to be in. Yeah.
What's the top speed? What's the not the 14-year-old?
It would have to be limited to the same as the Ami in France to qualify,
which is 28 miles an hour.
But it's something really slow. But then you can tune it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to drive the tuned one, and it was still really slow.
Right. So maybe you could do 35 miles an hour,
I think 40. I don't know. I was driving out in busy Las Vegas streets, cutting traffic off and stuff. It was awesome. Yeah. Okay. But these cars are the best. We need more of them. And someone just commented, Kyle, I don't care about concepts unless it's a Twizy concept. So there we go.
Yes. At least they know what's happening.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah. Wonderful.
All righty. So I had to make sure I saw that, and I knew Kyle needed to see that. This show. All right. So that brings us to the end of our show. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them on the Inside EV's forum podcast thread or on our YouTube or Twitch comment sections. If you like the show, please give us a thumbs up. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget you can find and follow our panelists on Twitter. Follow Martin Lee at EV News Daily. Kyle Connor is at It's Kyle Connor. Clint Simone is at Clint Simone. I'm at Dominic_Y. Click subscribe and tap that bell icon for notifications. And don't forget our ID4 and Ioniq 5 comparison video goes live at noon today. So you can spend some time with us again, or with Clint again there. And we'll see you all again next week. Ciao.